Welcome to the Geometry Final Review. This is going to be part 1 of Standard 10. Hopefully it won't take too many parts, but this is a fairly deep section as far as things we need to do. We start by taking a look. They want us to write some proofs, but I wanted to go over some ideas before we did that. Okay. When we were learning in the book and we're going through some of the exercises, the first thing we learned how to do was prove triangles are similar. Now, the first method we learned was a method called angle-angle, which we showed that two sets of corresponding angles are congruent. Now that means that if I've got a triangle and I have another triangle, and I think they're similar, meaning same shape, possibly bigger, smaller, or same size, that I could find, like, for example, this angle might be the same as this angle, and this angle might be the same as that angle, but they won't necessarily, this angle right here doesn't necessarily have to be the same as that one. Just two pairs of angles, like these two are the same number and those two, that we could show they were congruent. If I wrote a flow chart for this, I know I'm going to have two bubbles at the top or somewhere in there, because I'm going to have to show, for example, that angle A is the same as angle D and congruent, and angle E and F are congruent. Angle E is congruent to angle F. Don't want to go into that too much till we get to the examples, but on side, 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 remember we showed that all three pairs of corresponding sides have the same scale factor. In this case, the scale factor will always be the same. Okay, side angle side. Show that two pairs of corresponding sides have the same scale factor and the angle between them. So the angle between them has to be congruent. Because that was the ways that we did to prove triangles are similar. Then we talked about how to find that triangles are congruent. Okay, and basically the first method we did, we said we could show they're similar with a scale factor of 1. So you could go back to the other methods we learned and just show that they have a scale factor of 1, and that you know they're congruent. We also said that you could go through and use some shortcuts that we derived. These are called congruence theorems or postulates, depending on where you're at in the book. But one of them was side, side, side. Very similar to what we found in the other one, but basically if we show that the three sets of corresponding sides are congruent, in other words, maybe these two sides are congruent and those two sides and those two sides, not necessarily all three to each other, but the pairs are all congruent. And then we said that would make them congruent. We could also do side angle side, where two pairs of sides are congruent and the angle that is between them is congruent. And we could also do kind of the opposite, which is two angles and the side between them, that they match up. If we have a right triangle, we can use hypotenuse leg, which just says if I've got two triangles, the two hypotenuses are the same and two of the legs are the same. So we can use that. There was one that I'm going to put right here for a moment. It's side-side angle. Side-side angle could work in certain situations, but it has an ambiguity. It has a thing that sometimes it doesn't work, so we don't use it. Okay, so remember that. There's no side-side angle. So here's our first one. Okay, our first one, they ask us to write a proof, either a flow chart or two column, to show that they are congruent. Okay, now I'm going to look here and pull every piece of information I can. Remember, these are the methods I want to use. And so let's see. I don't think I can, maybe if I cut this in half like this, I can put it off to the side so we can kind of have something to refer to. Okay, I know that these two pieces are the same. That's nice. What else do I know? I know that these two lines are parallel. That's going to help me because I can use some parallel angles. But I know one angle right now that's going to be really, really easy to say that's the same. I know that I can say that that angle is the same as that angle. And I think I'm going to use some parallel line stuff here. Let's see, those two lines are parallel. So maybe I can find a parallel angle here. Let's see, I think this angle, if they're parallel, this is my transversal, so this angle right here is going to be the same as that one. So I think I can do this by angle, side, angle. Two angles and the side between them. So I need to do angle, side, angle is going to require that I do 3 bubbles to start with. And remember, Mr. Freeman's a little more picky sometimes, so I want you to give me your reasons just outside. I'm going to say in this middle one, I'm going to put my given up here that MS is parallel to TD. That's going to come in handy in a minute. And then I'm going to put what else they gave me. They basically on the drawing gave me that MA is congruent to DA. How do I know that? It's given. Okay? Now, how do I know that this is true? It's given. And then, so this took care of one of my sides. My side. I used this. From this, I drew these 2 angles. So I said that angle M is congruent to angle D. And why do I know that that is true? Because they are alternate interior angles of parallel lines. And since that, we know that that makes them congruent. Okay, I also said here, I'm going to say that angle SAM is congruent to angle, let's see, SAM TAD. And I know that those are congruent because they are vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. Now, I've got an angle, I've got another angle, I've done them a little bit, they're not quite in the right order here, but I see that I have an angle, 2 angles congruent, this happens to be the side between them, and so now I'm going to draw my conclusion that triangle, oh, not an A, it should be a triangle. Remember, we got to go in the same order. So I'm going to start with the M. And which angle matches with M? Angle D. Which angle matches with A? Well, it seems that A is the same on both of them. And which angle matches with S? S matches with, let's see, this is the M one, MAS, and DA has to be the last one, T. And those are congruent. Okay, remember that it is important. If you write the letters, you can start on any corner you want, but if they aren't in the correct order or a valid order so that the orders match, then the congruent statement is incorrect. Okay, now, next one.